History has been made in Nigeria's judiciary with Justice Kudirat Kekere-Ekun at the helm of the country's first female Chief Justice for the Southwest Geopolitical Zone. Now, sworn in by President Bola Tinubu on August 22, 2024, Justice Kekere-Ekun brings over 3 decades of judicial expertise to the table with a reputation for delivering landmark judgments. She is poised to usher in a new era of judicial renewal. Now, Kekere-Ekun's vision prioritizes restoring public confidence in the judiciary, as her agenda includes reforms aimed at enhancing transparency, accountability, and efficiency within the judicial space. With a wealth of experience, including notable cases like Hope Uzodinma, Emeka Dasi Ikedioha, and Adeleke Oyetola, Justice Kekere-Ekun is well equipped to drive meaningful change. Well, joining me virtually to discuss this are 2 amazing gentlemen. Jide Ojo, a public affairs analyst. I also have joining me Barrister Timothy Tubiale, is a legal practitioner and author. Both are joining me virtually. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
All right. Let me start with Barrister Tubiale. Let's start off with what you make of this pivotal landmark, will I call it, event, where we have, Nigeria has the first female Chief Justice.
Good evening, viewers. She's not the first female Chief Justice. She's the first female Chief Justice from the Southwest.
I meant that, sir.
So I will start by congratulating Justice Kekere-Ekun. I used to see her in the law courts in the 1980s. I think she was then in the chambers of Oseni and Oseni. She used to wear low-cut hairstyle, and she had gray hair prematurely. I do not know the time she went to the magistrate court, and I did not appear before her when she was at the High Court or at the Court of Appeal, but I appeared before her once at the Supreme Court. Her rise to the top was, one would say, very fast, perhaps because of her brilliance. Even at the Supreme Court, when she has to agree with another justice who has given the lead judgment, you will still find Justice Kekere-Ekun in her judgment, in agreement with the lead judgment, she will still give a considered ruling, a considered judgment. So that shows she's very hardworking and brilliant. I expect she will excel.
Now, I mean, looking at a wealth of experience, and also judicial background, you did make reference to the fact that she's pretty brilliant and all of that. I mean, how much of that do you think this would impact on her new role?
Her new role is not just that of dispensing justice. Our new role is administrative now. To be a Chief Justice is not just writing judgments, it's administrative. So she was never the president of the Court of Appeal. She was never the Chief Judge of Lagos High Court, where she started. So it's for her now to prove herself to be a good administrator.
All right, let me bring in Jide Ojo into the conversation. Jide Ojo, thank you for your time.
It's my pleasure.
All right, I mean, interesting times in Nigeria at the moment within the judicial space. I'd like your take on the new role or the new appointment of Justice Kekere-Ekun and the challenges you feel lie ahead?
Okay. Thank you, Dapo. For me, I did an article last month, I think August 23, in my column in the Punch newspaper, highlighting the task ahead of her after the announcement of her name as the next CJ. I think beyond her brilliance is just that she's also lucky. Fate and providence really worked in her favor, because I said that advisedly. If Honorable Justice Walter Ononoge was not unceremoniously removed in 2019, and Justice Tanko Mohammed did not resign in 2022, perhaps she would not have had the opportunity, in spite of her brilliance, to head the apex court, because her emergence was practically based on seniority. She was actually nominated based on the fact that she's the oldest she's the most senior, not the oldest. She's the most senior in the Supreme Court, and that was why National Judicial Council nominated her. She's 66 years old, so she has about 4 years. And that's a very good time. She has, if you want to political speak, she has 1 term of office. And I just do hope that she will avoid the banana peel that led to the unceremonious removal of Walter Ononoge and the exit of Honorable Justice Tanko Mohammed in 2022. Having said that, as previously highlighted, there are very few women in the apex court, and my reckoning is that she's just 1 out of 5 Supreme Court justices, apart from being the 2nd Chief Justice of Nigeria after Justice Maria Aluma Mukhtar, who was there between 2012 and 2014. Now, she has a job cut out for her. First, there are a wide range of reforms that needed to be carried out. Justice Dan Tijo, who retired in October last year, dropped a bombshell in his valedictory speech, which more or less indicted the judiciary, alleging corruption and abuse of office, concentration of judicial power in the person of the Chief Justice of Nigeria. And let me break it down. Starting with the concentration of power, there are about 4 bodies regulating the affairs of the judiciary in Nigeria. You have the National Judicial Council, you have Federal Judicial Service Commission, you have the Nigerian Judicial Institute, and you have the Legal Practitioners and Privileges Committee. Did you know that for the NJC, the CJN alone nominates 80% of members of that council without consultation with anybody?
I'm sorry, you said for the NJC, the CJN nominates...
For the National Judicial Council.
The CJN nominates about 80%?
He nominates, no, whoever occupies the position of Chief Justice of Nigeria will nominate 80% of members of that council without consultation.
Without consultation?
And yes. Wow. And 60% of other regulatory bodies, such as National Judicial Institute, Federal Judicial Service Commission, and the Legal Practitioners and Privilege Committee, those who are in charge of nominating the senior advocates of Nigeria. So, as Lord Acton said, power corrupts and absolute power corrupts absolutely. If you have that kind of enormous power invested in just one individual, who can take decision without consultation, without any reference, it then means that that person can abuse that position. And that is the way the Constitution is framed. That's number one. Number two, very quickly because of time, is the allegation and the optics of Nigerian judiciary being very corrupt. And there have been many opinion surveys to buttress this, that there is wide corrupt practices in the bench, in the Nigerian bench, not necessarily among the judges and magistrates, but also in the bureaucracy, from the bailiffs to clerks to registrars to all. And these are not my words. This is part of what was said by Justice Dantijo in his valedictory speech when he was
I'm sorry, Jide Ojo. I'm sorry to interrupt you. I'm really tempted to bring in Barrister Tubiele into this because I know it's been in the legal practice for, if I'm not mistaken, 4 decades, if not more, sir. So, I mean, you've been practically a lawyer all your life. You've even trained lawyers. And these are weighty allegations coming in. I'd like you to react, sir.
Lawyers, judges, justices, they are part of Nigerian society. If there is corruption in Nigeria, it's difficult to rule out corruption in every facet of Nigeria: legislature, executive, and the judiciary. But the issue of corruption in the judiciary is being addressed from time to time. Recently, some judges, it was said that they cannot be promoted to wherever they ought to get to as part of disciplinary measures. I agree with judicial staff, bailiffs, sheriffs, court clerks. Yes, there's corruption. But there's no bailiff, sheriff, or any junior member of the judiciary who cannot be disciplined. They do discipline them from time to time. You can make a report to them, a report of their ways to the chief registrar, and they do discipline them from time to time. Judges too, they are being disciplined. You talked about the former CGN, Walter Onogen, right? There's a lot of controversy over that, but he was subject to be disciplined, right? So there's discipline of every judicial staff. So it's not that corruption is absolute, that because all the system is corrupt, all they do is live by way of corruption. So there's a discipline of judges at any level. Lawyers from time to time, they write petitions against judges, and they are disciplined.
But in terms of this, in terms of the discipline,
citing examples.
Okay, in terms of the discipline, how effective?
Bailiffs can be disciplined. Nobody's above. They're all subject to discipline. So and they get disciplined from time to time.
But how effective has this, will I say, disciplinary measure been in ensuring that there's sanity within that system?
It's effective. For example, okay, let me cite an example. Bailiffs are very corrupt. They've always been corrupt. And it's the system. Sometimes the system allows bailiffs to be corrupt. Bailiffs, they served court processes. So lawyers pay as part of filing fees, what should be used for service. Imagine you file an action at the Lagos High Court and you pay 50 naira, 100 naira, or 200 naira for service of a process in Surulere. Can 200 naira take a bailiff from Lagos High Court to Surulere? So lawyers have to give them some money, right, to make up for the transport. But some of them, because of corruption, they will now ask you for money again so as to put the proof of service in the court file. Without the proof of service in the court file, your case cannot progress. So I had an experience like that many years ago. So the judge wanted to adjourn the case because there was no proof of service. And I told the judge, that is the bailiff that is delaying the progress of this case. And the judge asked his orderly to go and call the head bailiff and to bring with him that particular bailiff. And the bailiff, he called the deputy chief registrar in charge of Ikeja. She retired as a high court judge. She called the chief registrar and asked the chief registrar to take the bailiff away to be disciplined. So there is discipline in the system. Judges too are disciplined. No judge will like to mark his records if he's disciplined. I mean, they do. There are some of them are driven out of the judiciary. They are disgraced out of the bench. So there is discipline in the judiciary. It's not as if, it's a corrupt system that you can get away with corruption.
Barrister Tubgele, you've of course established the fact that there is discipline within the judiciary. But I would also ask you, I'm going to go back to Jide Ojo shortly, but he said something. He said the person or the office of the CJN is too powerful. And he cited examples. Do you also think that is the case?
I have not, honestly, I've not gone to study about the power of the CJN. And if the CJN is that powerful, he or she must exercise such powers according to law. If the law gives her such powers, right, she cannot just be exercising the power arbitrarily. People will write petitions. She does not have absolute power in respect of the appointment of SCS.
Yeah, committee can make appointments without
she might be the chairman of the committee, but committee members must give a recommendation. So she does not have, I know she does not have absolute powers in the appointment of senior advocates of Nigeria. I don't think any power of a chief justice will be that absolute. I know that of the appointment of senior advocates of Nigeria. There are committees that see it. It's not only the CJN that determines who will be a senior advocate of Nigeria. That I know.
All right. I will come back to Jide Ojo after this break. We need to go on a quick break. Of course, when we return, we'll pick up the conversation. Do stay with us. Many thanks for staying with us. This is still Politics HQ on News Central Television. Today we are looking at the judiciary and issues arising around this particular arm of government. I still have my guest with me, Jide Ojo, public affairs analyst, joining virtually from Abuja, and also Timothy Tugbiele is a legal practitioner and author who also joins virtually from Lagos. Let me go to Jide Ojo on this one. Now, Jide, let me pick up from what you said, but I'll make reference to what the CJN did say. Part of what she said is all pre-election matters will terminate at the Court of Appeal. And then she went further to say, I have zero tolerance for corruption. I know that earlier you spoke extensively on the issue of corruption, but let's also look at other issues that she may have to contend with. And that has to do with case backlogs, allegations, of corruption, just like we talked about, and also outdated court procedures, amongst a list of issues that, she might just sort of have to introduce reforms to address. I would like you to speak on how best you think these issues can be tackled.
Okay, so before we leave the issue of corruption, and I'm not talking about the person of Chief Justice Kudirat Kekereekun, but the system has been so politicized that you look at those who are getting appointed as High Court judges and judges of Court of Appeal. There seems to be a lot of vested political interest in the appointments. Wife of notable politicians, wife of or daughters and kith and kin of very politically exposed persons.
I'm sorry, you said wife of notable politicians.
Yes, wife of notable politicians.
Any specifics?
And I won't be specific, but it's something that is in public domain. When people are planting their wives, their children into the judiciary in order to serve their political interests in the nearest future, then it's a danger signal. Let me tell you what happened on the floor of the Senate in last year during the valedictory service of the Senate of last year. A senator from Bauchi State, whose wife was president of Court of Appeal, said on camera that he pleaded with his wife or influenced his wife to help his brother senators in their political election petition cases. Of course, you know what that means. That means the man, the senator, used the instrumentality of the wife holding high political judicial office to influence the course of justice. And I'm just giving you that instance. It's something that as a journalist you can fact check. This is in public domain. So that is another danger signal. But coming to issues of backlog of cases, yes, it's been, as you comment, Justice Oluwakayode Ariwoola, the immediate past CJN, under whose leadership we have full complement of the Supreme Court justices, which stands at 21. Before the recent appointment into that apex court, did you know the number of Supreme Court justices have been depleted to about 12 or 13, if I'm not mistaken? So it was the tenure of Justice Kayode Ariwoola that gives the Supreme Court full complement for the very first time in a very long time. And that means it will rub off positively in the handling of pending cases at the Supreme Court. But that alone will not do the magic. Other things that needed to happen is use of technology. Our judges from magistrate to Supreme Court are still writing judgments in longhand. They are still taking evidences in longhand. And that is more like what has been dispensed with in other advanced countries eons of years ago. So we need to leverage on technology to aid the performance of the legislature, the performance of judges.
How do you suggest the use of technology can be domesticated, given the fact that there is a training and learning process, and we know that for many of these very experienced and senior learned fellows, technology, not everyone, has that gift of, picking up when it comes to, the latest trends in technological advancement that fast. So how do you suggest this, the domestication of this can happen such that, in the closest possible time, it becomes the norm?
Don't think that they are not teachable. Do you know, okay, as I'm speaking with you, There are no technological devices that can transcribe every word that is coming out of my mouth on the screen. Everything I'm saying will be transcribed on the screen. You understand? And I feel that you need to start building the capacity of judges to leverage on technology. This idea, because look at the number of Supreme Court justices that died in the last 1-2 years. About 3 or 4 of them died because of ill health, overwork, and all of that. Anyway, that's on one side. I believe technology will help. Technology does not also, there are recording devices that they can listen to write their judgment rather than taking evidences in longhand. There are aides that can be appointed for them that can help them with the typing using technology. Maybe younger people can help them. They can dictate and then the thing will transcribe for them and it will be faster. There are different ways they can leverage on technology. Then there is also the case of Administration of Criminal Justice Act 2015, which was meant to help in fast-tracking the course of justice. But that AGJA, as it's popularly called, has been observed in breach. For instance, criminal cases were supposed to be dispensed with within 6 months. We still have cases in court that last 7, 8, 10 years before judgments are given. And the whole essence of having that Administration of Criminal Justice Act has been defeated. So that's another thing that my Lord Justice Kekereokun can look at. The other thing is that recently, before the exit of Justice Kayode Ariwoola, salaries and emoluments of judicial workers was increased by 300%, which means that they can be better motivated and have a better life, even though you can't compare their lifestyle or their remuneration to that of lawyers like my elder brother, Barrister Tugbiele Timothy. You know, because it's very easy for you to have billionaire lawyers than to have billionaire judges. Unfortunately, Justice Kayode was alluding to billionaire judges when he was raising alarm about cause of corruption in the judiciary many years ago. May God rest his soul. So what I'm saying is that we should also acknowledge the effort of government to improve things. Okay. I've talked about the Administration of Criminal Justice Act. I've talked about the increment in the salaries of judicial workers, which has not been done in over 2 decades from what I read. So that's also bringing improvement. So if we can also leverage on technology, it will also go a long way. But that all of this will not resolve the problem of judiciary. I think we still need attitudinal change on the part of our judges.
You pick up on the attitudinal change. I would like to bring in Barrister Tugbiele into the conversation because you've said quite a number of things. Maybe you can address a couple of these issues. You talked about the politicization of the judiciary, where, of course, you said that appointments are made with some sort of political intention to it. There's also the case of outdated court proceedings and awaiting trial cases. I would like you to speak on some of these issues that you feel the new CJN needs to really address and, address from the root cause. Because in her words, she said, I have zero tolerance for corruption.
The issue of lack of transparency in the appointment of judges, she must address it. Actually, until our appointment of judges now is like a family affair. I won't say more. That should be addressed. I think it should be stopped. On delay in the trial of cases, civil cases, for example, there are rules of court that makes legal practitioners who cause delay to pay for the delay that has been occasioned by them. They pay penalty. Then sometimes judges do not see it. And there's been an improvement. Many courts will send texts to lawyers that the court will not be sitting. And so they wouldn't go to court on that day. Then the Supreme Court is clogged with cases. And it is said that lawyers are responsible. Some of them want to become senior advocates of Nigeria. And you have to present concluded Supreme Court cases. So some of them file frivolous appeals. And I won't cite cases.
You said you said lawyers.
Justices have rebuked lawyers for filing frivolous appeals. So they filed frivolous appeals, and there's a case I did from High Court to Supreme Court over a period of 28 years. It was in the Supreme Court for 14 years. And so there are so many cases in the Supreme Court, frivolous appeals filed by people who want to compare cases so that they may apply for the conferment of the coveted rank of senior advocate of Nigeria. Justices of the Supreme Court have been rebuking them. So I will urge Justice Kekere to look into that. Perhaps punitive costs should be awarded against legal practitioners who file frivolous appeals. And those frivolous appeals should be sent to the Legal Practitioners Privileges Committee. That frivolous appeals should not count as cases to be presented for elevation to the coveted rank of senior advocate of Nigeria. So these delays, that is one of the things this new CJN to see what to do. Another way out is for the Supreme Court to be decentralized. We can have up to 6 Supreme Courts in Nigeria and up to 100 Supreme Court justices. Justice Kekere cannot do that. That will require constitutional amendment. So many cases, everybody wants to go to the Supreme Court. Most lawyers want to go to the Supreme Court. So those are some of these things, some of the reforms Justice Kekere on her own cannot do it. There might be need for constitutional amendment.
All right. Thank you for that, Barrister Okpebholo. But at this point, we need to go on another break. When we return, we will, of course, continue the conversation. Do stay with us. Many thanks for staying with us. This is still Politics HQ on News Central Television, and we are looking at Nigeria's judiciary and some of the reforms the new Chief Justice might just need to put in place to ensure that it still remains the hope of the common man. I still have my guest with me, Jide Ojo, Public Affairs Analyst, and also Timothy Okpebholo is a legal practitioner and author. Both are joining virtually. Gentlemen, thank you for staying with me. Now, we are pressed for time. I'll be going to you, Jide Ojo. You highlighted quite a number of issues, underlining issues that the new boss might just need to take head on. But I would ask you a straightforward question. Looking at all of these issues, do you still think Nigeria's judiciary still remains the hope for the common man?
Yes, it is, because there's no alternative to judiciary. In the referenced article where I said the tax before CJN Justice Kudirat Kekere, written in my column in The Punch on August 23, I did say very noble things about how the judiciary has helped to save this democracy, because left to the politicians, this country will have gone tatters. So I cited several examples, landmark judgments, even in political cases that have saved the country. Recently, the issue around the Naira redesign policy, the issue about local government autonomy, all of these are pointers to the fact that judiciary from time to time have shown sufficient activism to pull the country back from the brink of, precipice of anarchy. And when you look at the discipline, the big stakes that the judiciary wielded against the ruling APC in 2019, both in Rivers and Zamfara State, where they banned, they disqualified all the candidates of APC. It tells you that they've been a savior. But one thing I think we need to understand, judiciary, unfortunately, out of the three arms of government, is still the most poorly funded arm of government. And judiciary needs a lot more resources than it currently has. If you look at the state of our courtrooms, particularly magistrates and lower cadre court rooms, they are very dilapidated, lacking ventilation, no electricity, and you wonder how any sane judge can even sit on cases in that kind of inclement environment. Then there is also the issue of insecurity of judges. Now we have had number of abductions of judicial officers, particularly judges. There is a very unsavory case of a judge who was abducted, I think, in Borno State, alongside with his wife, who is a magistrate, and I think a couple of his family. After months, he was released, but his wife and the other members of his family are still in the kidnappers' den. And that's not an isolated case. We've also had judicial officers, judges being abducted in some other parts of the country. So they needed security. We need to secure our court system, court premises. We need to secure the lives of our judges so that they can practice without let or hindrance, without fear of molestation. Because the way the political class is going about, if they try to bait you with money and you resist, harm may come your way.
All right.
If care is not taken, given the level of desperation of the political class. So that's another thing we need to look into. Proper funding of the judiciary is very, very important so that they can embark on rehabilitation of courtrooms and provide the resources, needed resources for the judiciary to function proper and better.
All right, Jide Ojo, thank you so much. We need to go, but I'd like to take your final thoughts on this, Barrister Tugbeeli.
On whether Nigerians have confidence
in the judiciary,
in the law court.
Yes.
I agree with Mr. Ojo. Whenever people have disagreements, one of them will say, you can go to court. So for people to say, let's settle our problems, go to court, that means people, Nigerians, have confidence in the courts.
But what about what we see during elections, for instance, where it looks like at the end of the day, the judiciary seems to be, well, I call it the pinball now for politicians, where politicians get judgments and counter judgments, and at the end of the day, it's the judiciary that eventually decides who the winner is in many cases.
The judiciary does not decide who the winner is. It's the facts before the court, evidence before the court, and the application of the law by judges and justices that determines cases brought before the courts. Courts do not make pronouncements to determine who is the winner of an election. It's the facts, evidence, and the application of the law that makes the decision.
So are you saying this is the situation in all cases?
Any good lawyer who has the facts of a case, knows the law to apply, can decide a case even before it goes to court. You can know the case. You can know if you will win a case. You look at the facts, the evidence, and the law. Even the lawyer himself will know what the judgment will be like. And judges listen to witnesses. That's the evidence. They listen to address by both counsel, and because of their own knowledge of the law,
All right.
they decide a case according to law, facts before them, and the evidence before them. That is how the judicial system operates, whether it's election cases, shipping cases, or any case at all.
All right. All right, gentlemen, thank you so much for your time on the program. Deeply appreciate you, sirs. All right. And that's a wrap on today's episode. Of course, my guest, Jide Ojo, Public Affairs Analyst, joining virtually from Abuja. Also, Barrister Timothy Tubiele, a legal practitioner and author, who also joined virtually from Lagos. We x-rayed the judiciary in Nigeria. What lies ahead for the new Chief Justice? In case you missed out, you can actually catch up on our YouTube platform. That's News Central TV. You can also follow us across social media, the same name, News Central. My name is Dakwa Adegboye. Until I come your way tomorrow, good night.